Welcome to Web3 with Dhee, Amrit. Nice to have you here.
Nice to be here, Dhee. How are you?
I'm super good. How are you? How have you been? And just letting everyone know, Amrit doesn't do a lot of Twitter Spaces. As he said, this is one of his third or fourth in 1 year's time. So we are quite blessed to see Amrit here.
Yeah, it's my third one actually. I previously I've just done two where I was the speaker. So yeah.
Nice, nice. Thank you for doing this with us, Amrit. Where are you right now? What are you doing?
I'm in Delhi right now. I'm actually like just finishing up a few toy faces for India Art Fair. So had a very productive day. Made finished a lot of stuff.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So anyone who does not know Amrit is a very popular NFT visual artist who also makes NFT toys or non-fungible toys, as he likes to call them. He has two separate universe in itself. One is toy faces and toy rooms, and there is a hell lot of permutation combination on what he does with toy faces and toy rooms. So I want to ask you, Amrit, how did you get into designing these toys, or what's you also told me when you were a kid you really liked these toys. So what's the beginning story? What's the origin story?
Yeah, sure. So basically, like Toy Faces started as a non-NFT project back in 2020, where all I kind of wanted to do was make like a digital library of avatars that people can license and use in their own design. So that's what it started with. And the idea behind using toys was just as a kid, I used to collect a lot of toys, especially GI Joes and whatnot. So it started with that, and it was simple. Like I just wanted to create 20 faces that people can just put in their designs, especially like product designers, because I was a product designer for like 7 years. So I had a personal use of like these avatars where I didn't want to put stock images, especially like they weren't enough diverse enough, and they were very boring. So I just wanted to create like something I can use in them in my designs, and I also licensed them out. But so like when I finished it, it like looked pretty good to me. So I thought maybe I'll also offer doing portraits and stuff, and I launched it on a website called Product Hunt. So it kind of went viral from there. And so 1 year I was just doing a lot of toy faces and custom portraits. And a lot of designers globally and a lot of tech people globally kind of commissioned me to make these toy faces. So this was before NFTs, right? So people were putting it as their PFP on Twitter. So it was kind of like a PFP project before NFTs, and it that kind of made it like quite famous. And when finally I got tired of doing commissioned portraits, I like put everything on a wait list, and I was like, okay, let's see what I should do with toy faces. And 1 month after that, I found NFTs, and yeah, that was a different journey.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I know a little bit about your previous project because me did research. This was pre NFTs. How many layers of how many templates of these toys did you create? Because it's an extensive list, and I want to know how much it has grown over a period of time.
Sure. So, so like initially I started with like I just wanted to create 8 toy faces, okay, and I was about to upload it on like a marketplace like Envato or Creative Market. But when I finished the first 8 toy faces, I just thought it's like it looks good, so probably I should sell it from my website rather than putting on a marketplace. So and I could see like I can make like a system out of it, I can create more. So then I created around 50, and I launched the initial library with just 50 toy faces, and that was quite well received. Like I had like yeah. I don't even know, like around 1,000 downloads in like within first few days. It was like when I started, the library was $20. Now it's 70. It's still there because I just thought that's good for just the Toy Face brand. People using it and putting it everywhere. And the custom portrait part was just like a small thing, very afterthought when I was launching it. I just thought about it like 5 minutes before. I was like, I'll do 10 custom portraits and that should be like it. And, maybe add those portraits to the library. But that kind of went even bigger, like that went viral and it was a bit bigger than the license itself. Like I had like 300 orders within the first few hours. And back then I was doing them for $20. Then I changed it to 50. Then eventually I changed it to 100 and then I closed it. But before I closed it, I kind of made 2,000 toy faces. So it was like a full on PFP project before NFT, all done like by hand.
Wow, wow, wow. That's super cool, right? Like, so you, how many custom orders did you expect?
Yeah, so basically, like it started with I had to do those 100 and like within the first day I got like around 300 orders, and then eventually like Google also asked me to do like 120 toy faces for their team. There are a lot of companies,
Like,
like a lot of tech companies who asked for it. So I did 2,000 custom toy faces.
wow. Oh my God. That's so. So see, I think like just living in India, doing a work custom for like $20, we honestly think like I mean, let's just go back 2 years, right? Like it's a big deal, right? Like getting something done custom for it's not a bad thing, right? Like, but you got like 300, 400, 2,000 orders. It's quite commendable, right? Like, so did you what was your reaction, like because this probably was going viral even before NFTs, right? Like these brands are reaching out to you, create for our employees. What was like, were you in euphoria, or like you're like, oh, okay, I have to do this here? What was going on in your life?
Yeah, like, see, before this, I've kind of launched like 13 other things on Product Hunt, right? Some of them were like moderate success, but nothing comes close to this. So I was like definitely in a euphoria. And what was happening was like everybody was just putting it on their like as their Twitter profile. I think pandemic has just like kicked in, so people just wanted like a digital representation or something, and like really important people were putting it out. So I just like couldn't stop it only. Like that's why it took me like 2,000, and then I was like, I'll like stop. Even at 2,000, there was like I remember like Ola's CEO wanted one, and I was like, no, I want a break. But then eventually I ended up making one. So yeah, it was just like that, right? Word of mouth and just like really important, talented people using it as their profile picture, kind of like pushed me to do it. And yeah, like when I started, there were a lot of people who were like, why are you charging $20 for it? You can charge more. But the sheer volume, it was just like a legit, like, it was like a legit business. And like I never mind sharing numbers. So I remember like with Toy Faces library and the portrait itself before NFTs, I was able to kind of make like $100,000 just out of this like library. So like that's why I like just kept doing it, and it was also like kind of bringing me a lot of other work. So I got like some really interesting projects after that as a 3D illustrator. So that was also a lot of fun.
This podcast was possible because of our sponsors, Brave and Unstoppable Domains. More about them next. Crypto scams are like box of chocolates. You never know which one you're gonna get. Especially if you're using a crypto wallet, which is a browser extension, you run the risk of attacks like phishing scams, account spoofing, data leaks, and theft. The best way to avoid getting attacked is using Brave Wallet. Brave Wallet is the first secure crypto wallet built directly into a browser. so no extensions required. With Brave Wallet, you can buy, store, send, and swap assets. You can even manage your portfolio and NFTs all in one place. Whether you're new to crypto or a seasoned pro, it's time to switch to Brave Wallet. Download Brave at brave.com/web3 with Dhee and click the wallet icon to get started. You know what's the worst part about crypto? These long and complex wallet addresses. They can get so confusing. I know you hate them too. What if I told you I replaced my long wallet address with dheerajshah.nft? Yeah, that's my name. All thanks to Unstoppable Domains. They're the #1 providers of NFT domains. With Unstoppable Domains, you don't have to worry about renewal fees because you get to keep your NFT domain forever. You can get an NFT domain as well, maybe a .crypto, .nft.x, or something else. Go to unstoppabledomains.com right now and get your NFTs for as low as $5. Before Toy Faces, were you freelancing? Were you working somewhere? Did you change your job to just do this full time?
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been working as like I started working as a brand designer, then pivoted to motion design, and then pivoted to product for the longest time. So back in 2018, I was working as a head of design for a fintech company, doing financial products, very different from what I do right now. And before that, I had my studio where I was like making my own apps and doing client work. So I've had a variety of experience doing like a lot of stuff like branding for restaurants, making storybook apps, making card games. And in 2018, I just like it was the starting of 2019, so I just got a bit tired of the startup ecosystem and wanted to take a break. And see what I want to do. So that's when I kind of started focusing on these digital assets as a passive income thing. And I also did like a card game around that time. And till the pandemic started, like 2020, I was just doing a lot of 3D stuff. And that's where I kind of like to make use of like staying at home and just doing 3D illustrations all the time.
Nice, nice, nice. Okay, so before I ask the next question, I just want to say hi to our listeners: Rahul, Snow, Plutonium, Trupti, Scorsese, KD, Yashika, Amit, Madhuri, and all of you guys. If you are enjoying this conversation, or like just reshare it and let others know that like we're talking to Amrit, and I'm sure like a lot of us can learn a lot about from this conversation, so it will be quite helpful if you can like share, reshare it, and let others know. Just want to say hi to Kunal as well. So Amrit, tell me about early days. Little Amrit, little boy Amrit, were you into art as a kid as well? And like what were your first remembrance of art, or like most iconic things you've been drawing?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, obviously, like, like all the illustrators here, as a kid, I used to doodle a lot. I think, like, first experience of like animation or doodle would be like watching Lion King. I still remember like the opening of Lion King. That was like something which has like over the years just stuck by me. So it started from that, and then I used to just doodle a lot in my books and in my notebooks, and I think in like school, like I used to do doodles for the school magazine. Like, matlab, it sounds more sophisticated than it was, but like it was fun. Like I was just doing like a little bit illustrations on environment and all that. So that kind of like started my interest with it. And then there was like I would design like reports and websites. So I was also like always a very nerdy artist. So like digitally nerdy artist. So I would play around with Photoshop. I remember since like I was in ninth or eighth grade, and even like worked on a few websites, like all shitty stuff. Like it's nothing important, but just like having fun. So I had a lot of time to just be bad and then learn. So
Yeah, That's the thing, right? Like, you learn by doing. So you ended up doing so many things. It's good in a way. And how are you as a student? Like, how were your grades?
They were like very average, like 60, 70, like nothing special. It was only till college when I like in design college, suddenly I was like, oh, I can be a good student. But before that, it was just like torture.
Nice, nice. And I think a lot of creative people can feel this way because this is just from my experience, no data, but like a lot of uh, people in school, they struggle a lot, but like when they find a field in college, they're like, hey, yeah, man, this makes sense, my life starts making sense. I didn't need to do the math anymore, but sometimes you still have to do it anyway. Amrit, tell me your transition from product and toy faces, custom artwork to NFTs. How did that happen? What was your like moment when you realized NFT the thing? The another moment where I need to.
Yeah, sure. So it was, I think, in January 2020, 2021, when like somebody messaged me on Twitter that, oh, toy faces could be fun as NFTs. And I just like at that time Googled NFTs, and it was like some token shit. And I was like, okay, I don't understand this. I was like, okay, I'll check it out later. And then I was just like, 1 week down the line, I was just listening to this podcast of like some motion designers like talking to each other. And one of them was Beeple, and he had made like one sale, not like the big one. So they were just talking about that. And I was like, okay, this sounds interesting. So, and then I got another message on Twitter that, oh, you should make like a toy face into NFT or something. And her name is Lily. She was a designer at Zora, so she wasn't pitching Zora as such, but she was just telling me that, oh, NFTs, are cool. You should try it out. So I asked her if she can like kind of show me how it works and everything, and she showed it, and I was like, okay, let's do this. And I even asked, like, I couldn't buy ETH from any of the exchanges, so I asked her for some ETH. So like she just gave me some ETH to mint my artwork. So like I actually never bought any ETH from Fiat ever till now. So. And yeah, like so I minted, I was going to mint like an abstract artwork, but just last moment I just thought, okay, maybe I'll put toy faces instead, because abstract, say, it's very hard to distinguish yourself and all that. So yeah, I just like minted my Frida toy face on Zora, and like tweeted about it. And some people who kind of knew me from the toy face commissions, especially like Mike, who owns my Genesis, so he was like one of the early bidders on it. And like a lot of people from my clients or like tech community who kind of knew me a bit, and they were into NFTs, so they started bidding. And around that time, Foundation also just started, so I put like a Van Gogh toy face there at the same time. So Zora auction was not timed, so it was just offers. But Van Gogh was timed, and a lot of people thought that was my Genesis. So I had to make clear that Frida is my Genesis. But both of them started getting like really big offers. So those were like my first two NFTs, and I think they sold for like 3.9 and 3.7. So that was huge. I had no idea what was going on, and then I took like the whole year to figure out what's going on.
So tell me, tell me this, right? Like from $20 to 3.9. I mean, I'll just take a conversion of like right now. That's like $11,000, or maybe like 1 year back it would be like, I don't know, 6 or 7 thousand. How was that? Like, how was that? Like, how did you feel when you started seeing these bids come in?
So, like, see, like I was in a very comfortable position when I started NFTs. So it was like till first 4 or 5 months, it wasn't like, oh, I want to do this full time. It was only after like, I think June, July, where I felt, okay, now I can do this full time. So I was just kind of still looking around what's going on. And but again, like with toy faces, right, like doing those commissions versus making a toy face where I get to like fully express what I want to do and like have full freedom, and just like somebody buying it for art, that was like insane to me. And it definitely took me like 10 more toy fairs to realize what's going on.
that, That's just crazy. That's just crazy. So that's cool. That's cool. So what, like, what are your initial days of NFT ecosystem like? How was? Tell us a little bit, like, how the NFT ecosystem was. Who were popular artists? Like, what were you thinking? Like, did you think you could make it in this industry, or like, become a integral part of this industry? What were your initial thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, like, so I started in Feb, right? So even when I started, the people didn't make that big sale, which kind of got NFTs to the mainstream. So before that, I remember a bunch of artists I was like talking to, and we all started around that time. Even Foundation as a platform started around that time, where I kind of minted most of my artwork. Like in terms of artists, I remember Lerona started around that time. So he used to talk. Mark Habibi started around that time. Uh, who else? There were a lot of people in Feb. I think like Savage Dogs was also around that time. So like we kind of just knew each other because we were like the people who were kind of doing PFP projects, but PFP project wasn't a thing back then, and it was not generative. So it was like everybody was doing it like one by one. So so it was quite interesting. And just to see like space, this whole space evolved is like crazy, because I remember in February everybody was like, oh, you shouldn't put like more than three artworks in a month, and you have to make that scarcity kind of a thing. And then like 2 3 months down the line, everybody's like putting 10,000 NFTs out and nobody cares about the scarcity. So that all really shifted. Board ape was also afterwards. Like I actually had a board ape. Let's not talk about that.
Let, let's talk about that. So, what
Yep.
price did you buy the board? I mean, if you really don't want to talk about, I will not, right?
No, no, I'm all chill. Like, yeah, like NFTs has been kind to me, so it's almost like a joke now. So, I,
So tell us
I,
about your board ape story, right? Like, so I would like to hear. So, what price did you buy the board ape at?
so I bought it at point two.
Oh, you minted it?
No, no, it was
Oh,
it was like after mint or something.
okay.
So, point
And
or point three,
and
and
what
then
was your
like
genius?
nothing.
What was your genius moment when you're like, shit, I flipped it for how much X?
So, so what happened was like the only thing which interested me about board apes was like a lot of people were putting it as their profile picture, right?
Hmm.
And that only happened with punk before, and it was just it looked like there is a community thing going on, so that's why I collected it. But then for the longest time there was nothing, like nothing happened, like 2 3 weeks, but not the longest time, but 2 3 weeks, like nothing really happened. And it was like my first PFP thing, and I just thought, like, let's just sell it. So I sold it at point 0.5.
Nice,
So
nice. You got bored of it.
yeah.
No one.
But honestly, like obviously it taught me a lot. After that, I had like cool cats, doodles. I would buy multiple, keep a few. So it was like a learning thing I had to go through. And it's always like people say, oh, now it's 100 each, but I'm sure I would have sold it on 10 or 20.
Yeah,
So like yeah.
yeah, because that's the thing, right? Like you have a certain goal in your mind, and if that is what makes you happy, then why not, right? Like, so I bought Cool Cats at like $64. I bought like 10, 12 of them, and when they were like double, I sold two. I'm like, holy shit, I've doubled my money, right? Like, that's a big flex, right? And then it went on to like point two. I'm like, very cool, very cool. Then it went to point five. Like, holy shit, this is the best thing ever. From $64 to point five ETH, I am gonna buy more of these different PFP projects, and I'm going to do it, right? Like, I thought I'm the smartest person ever. So I sold a lot at point five, right? Like, so yeah, I ended up with just keeping three, and now I'm down to two. The last one was a good deal. I sold at local top at 16. something, but there is no right answer, there's no wrong answer. So,
Absolutely. I feel as long as you are selling it on a profit, it's good. Like you should be happy because so I also minted five and I sold four of them when like first three on 1 ETH and then on 2 ETH or something, and then I still have one left. So yeah, I got smarter after that for sure.
very cool, very cool. Hey, I want to go a little back, because you were talking
Huh.
how space is was different, and I want to hear the conversation about scarcity, because I don't think I've ever had this conversation with an artist before, right? Like, because all of us talk a lot about scarcity, right? Like, there are trades, there is rarity, there is this, there is that, and like initial days when you were saying, like, oh, let's not do more than uh three NFTs per month, right? Like, that conversation, obviously, 10K PFP projects just fucked the entire conversation up. But what do you think as an artist about scarcity, and like, how has your opinion changed over a period of time?
See, like honestly, like I feel like it's. I was just tweeting about it. I don't think anybody should tell anyone what to do. So, and it's just a very new world. So anybody kind of claiming to understand what's going on is just like bullshitting. So, yeah, like if the artist wants to create 100 artworks and drop them, great. If you want to do one in like 1 year, that's also okay. Like it's just your pace and what you are comfortable with. Personally, I just thought, I just don't want people to be bored. Ki matlab every day if I'm doing a toy face, then like nobody would care. Although like a project like Nouns DAO, every day there's a new Nouns DAO and people do care. So, it's just about like, I think just personally, you should be excited about creating art, dropping it, because people can tell, right? If you are not, at least that's what I think. So I just like went ahead with that. So whenever I was excited about something, I would do it. And initially, obviously, like, I was super excited. I remember February, May only I dropped like five, six at least because uh, I remember like after Frida and Van Gogh, the Daft Punk toy faces happened, which like were mind blowing. I had no idea that was going to happen, and that's the kind of intro to like all these whales, kind of bidding on my work and everything. So
Mhm. So tell us
yeah, so.
what happened at Daft Punk Toy Faces.
So it was like the day the band kind of announced that they split up, and there were like a few artists who were doing Daft Punk artwork. I remember Archangel was also creating one, and we were just talking, and I was like, "Oh, I'm also making one." So I made like two toy faces, and I was like, like one collector can just buy them and unite them on the blockchain. So I wasn't expecting the reaction it had. Like a lot of people were like really interested. It's like I still get messages about Daft Punk that they are like their favorite, like toy faces. So and there were like a lot of bids. And they were like a lot of wheels collected it. I remember 888 had a bid. I don't know, like I think anybody I knew was collecting on a higher price point. Everybody kind of made a bid on that one. And yeah, it went for 7 and 8 ETH. And I think that's when kind of like foundation team also reached out because they were also looking at the like, randomly what is happening with this like unknown artist or a new artist like suddenly they're like getting these big bids. So yeah, that was insane. Like that day I remember it was like it was hard to calibrate after that, like what to do, what how to price things. Yeah.
Okay, and how much did it end up selling for?
So like one went for 7 and the other one went for 8, so total में 15. Yeah.
Very cool, very cool. So how do these conversations with all these platforms change, right? Like, because when you start out, they're like, hey, yeah, you're whoever, we don't really care about you, we won't even promote your work or whatever, right? Like, because this is what nowadays, at least, this is what is happening with a lot of artists, because there are a lot of artists, right? So a big sale
Hmm.
happens. Like, how do your relations with all these platforms change? Like, foundation is reaching out to you, maybe Zora is reaching out to you again, super rare, this these that guys, right? Like, tell about, like, your relation. with these platforms?
So I mean, see, it's not like super black or white. At least when if you I'm talking about foundation, because I got my invite from foundation itself. So like they were nice even then, but obviously, like talking about matlab, somebody from the team reaching out, that was after the sale, because I think like marketplace also wants like to see like who kind of can prove themselves or have like sales or whatever. So I understand that part. I don't have like any hard feelings around it. But yeah, like definitely these marketplaces, like when I started, right, a lot of people were like, should I put on OpenSea? Should I put on Foundation? Should I put on like, should I apply for Super Air and wait for it? So in my experience, I just noticed that, like marketplaces are never going to really push the artwork unless you have made a few sales, and then you might not even need that kind of pushing. So it's up to you. So like no matter what the marketplace is, unless it's like a very shady random marketplace, don't go for that. But if you pick on like a like a like a well known marketplace, and you can just do that without like, you don't need the marketplace to market, or like you don't need to wait for the marketplace to market your artwork, because they are not going to till you reach a certain threshold or whatever. So for me, like what happened, like when I was selling on Foundation, I also got accepted on Super Air, and when I entered on Super Air, I could just see no difference, right? So I was like, I already have this like following on Foundation. Why not just focus on that platform? So right now also, like I just use Super Air to do commission art, like mint commission artworks, and I don't really do drops on Super Air. There was only one Malala toy face I did on Super Air. After that, I've just stuck to Foundation, because like I just realized, like these marketplaces won't do much. I kind of need to push it. But later on, obviously, like I got close to the Foundation team, even did like a launch collection with them. But I think that comes much later. Before that, it's just you pushing your artwork, and I really pushed it. Like I was tweeting about it, I was messaging people, I was networking, not spamming, but I was pretty active about it.
Very cool, very cool. Um, One more. I mean, obviously, I'm asking questions, right? Like, so, question. um, what do you like as an NFT artist, right? What is your role do you see in this ecosystem of, like, let's say a collector, an artist, like even a speculator, right? Like, because you have collectors buying and you have speculators buying, so you as a person who's heading a project which is toy faces, or like the universe of toys, right? Like toy world, world, toy room, toy faces, right? Like, so what is your role in this ecosystem?
Uh, I mean, like, see, honestly, like, I am kind of just taking it, one artwork at a time. I don't really think a lot on the grand picture, because I just feel like it's just every day the landscape is changing, right? And that's why I haven't done a 10K PFP project, because it was just something not for me. And I am not sure about the utilities right now. I'm not sure about the metaverse angle. I get bored in every metaverse after 15 minutes. So, I'm just waiting for like to find something I resonate with and then take that action. Till then, for me, it's mostly like working on my community, doing art, or like artwork one by one. And yeah, like, but obviously I've built the toy brand because that's the kind of art I like. And mostly all my collections are going to start with like toy blank something. So that's what I've been doing. And I think I just like, and I've also like started collecting a lot, because I really, I am here for the long term, and I do like, I see a lot of talented people, and it's really hard not to bid on their artwork. So, and I love curation, and that's something I want to explore beyond just being an artist. And I think like for curation, I first need to understand how to collect and all that. So I've been doing that, and just like working on, community and just existing in the space, like sharing my like whatever I understand about the space and helping everyone out. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I think that's a fair take, right? Like, because no one knows what's going to happen, right? And again, you don't have to be first to things, right? Like there is no race, right? Like you'd rather do something when you understand it than like just end up doing random things. That makes sense. So, Amrit, tell me, like, you said about like growing your community. Again, this is, again, there's no right answers to it, but like, what is your method to do it, and like what is the advice you want to give other artists who are trying to like grow their community? Because honestly, even before NFTs, because you built a nice community with like all these people loving and supporting your work, your transition into NFTs was smoother as well, right? Like this is what I think. So what did you do even pre NFT or post NFT to build your community, and is it becoming easier with NFTs to build, for an artist to build communities?
Yeah, sure. So, see, I mean, like, I'll try to have some actionable items because I understand if I talk all high level stuff, like, nobody will find it useful. But honestly, like, it starts from just being genuine in what you are genuinely interested in. So, for example, I'm like a bit introvert, so that's why I don't do a lot of Twitter spaces. And that's why, like, I don't do reels or like videos of me talking. Like, I've had like a lot of people ask, like Domestika or Skillshare, they asked me to do like tutorials and stuff around NFTs, but I just like don't want to do that kind of stuff. So I've just like kind of I'm sticking to things I like and I can do for a long time because I think that's what is important, right? Anything you pick, you need to do it for a, like you have to be consistent at it. So like if you're picking like making reels or making vlogs, and if you don't really enjoy them, you won't last long. Like you have to kind of pick to like whatever you're comfortable with. And I'm sure like every artist is comfortable with something. It could be a process video or sharing their thoughts or just sharing their artwork, that kind of stuff. So I started with that only, and it has always been like that. So, when I started with NFTs, I noticed Twitter is like a much interesting platform than Instagram because Instagram is like you post an artwork, everybody comments, and the conversation dies. It's like they like it and that's it. But Twitter was very conversational. Plus, you get to share a lot of your thoughts and what you think. And I think from like my community, that has kind of like really that has helped building my community, like just sharing like my experiences within the space or my thoughts or random song lyrics or something. And that's what I have kind of like just done over and over again. Whatever I like, and also I've been genuinely interested in other people's artwork. So people can tell like even from a comment you understand this comment is just because they want to like engage with other people. But then there are like comments where they are looking for a conversation, they are reaching out even if they need help or whatever, but it's a proper conversation. So I think being genuine in that sense is really important to make your community. Plus obviously like there are a lot of people who are like, you shouldn't chill, you shouldn't do that. But I will just be honest, I chilled a lot. Like I was just chilling all the time. Like not like I would not chill on Twitter threads so much because I understand, like after a time you understand that this is not a genuine thread. But whenever I see a genuine collector doing a thread, I would chill there. I would DM people I think would like my work. I've never been, like I've like always dropped a message, tried to start conversation with people I thought they were in, like whoever I was interested in. It could be a fellow artist also. It was not just always collectors. Or I also come from a product design background, so if somebody was making a cool Web3 product, I would talk to them, and that's how the whole the like community and networking kind of helped. So it's just like I've genuinely been interested within like the Web3 space, the NFT, the collection part, the art part. So I think that's what has like helped with the community.
Very cool. And do you think you can, like, you did this as an introvert? You're talking to so many people, or like so many
It's
different.
like it's still digitally, right? At least I mean, like you don't have to talk to them face to face. So like on messages, it's easier. Like you just drop a message, they will
Yeah.
reply if they want to, and conversation can just end at any time if anyone is not feeling comfortable. So I feel like talking digitally is like such a gift for introverts because like you can just like write a message like that. You should be able to do that. But I understand there are people who would feel anxious about that also. So I sympathize. Yeah.
Very cool. So tell me, about. I'm going to talk a little bit about distribution of like toy faces is what I've seen, and then we can talk about toy rooms as well. You can enlighten us. So you do there are two there. Yeah, there are three types of things you do. One is not they're not necessarily open edition, but they're like multi edition 30
Hmm.
toy faces, and then there are one-on-ones which people can bid on, and there are commissioned work, right? Like, so let's start with like multi editions. What is your process? How did you come up with it? Like, it's priced cheaper, probably at a point 0.3 ETH. There are 30 editions, and multiple people can collect. Rahul was right here. I don't see him anymore, but he was wearing a ninja toy faces. He had the DP for the spaces, I think. Snow
Hmm.
also has collected some one of ones, and yeah, he's also commissioned, right? Like, so I have a couple of multi editions. So tell us, your the thought process behind this.
Sure. So, see, like when I started, right, I was only doing single editions, and they were averagely around 3 ETH, and some were higher. Some there was like a lower thing also, but like average it was 3 to 4 ETH, and that's obviously not accessible for a lot of people. And I could sense that there are like a lot of people who like wanted to own a toy face. And I think it was the first multi edition I did was in collaboration with Dead Fellas, where I noticed that we did around 33 editions, and it was like an official collab, and like that sold out, and that was quite interesting to me. That okay, like at a accessible price, there are a lot of people who are interested to collect my work. And multi edition was something because like I have been. I never thought of doing a 10K project. Matlab, I decided not to do the 10K project. So I was like, but I still need something accessible, right? So multi edition was kind of a way to do that. And I tested the water a few times. Like first, it was the dead fellas, but I wasn't sure like if it was toy faces or if it was just dead fellas. Like what worked there. Then I did like a ninja toy face, and that instantly sold. It was 21 editions, and I was like, okay, there is like clear demand for it. I wouldn't have done it if there wasn't a demand for it. But I was like, okay, let's do another one, and that's how it was just like step by step. And then I realized it was kind of fun, like people collecting a ninja toy face, then somebody collecting a Viking toy face, and they have like their own clan kind of a thing, and it was just including more people within this whole like my collector base. So I did that, and the reason I've done it through DMs is because I was like, first of all, I will get to collect. I will get to talk to all the collectors on DMs. Plus, that way nobody gets to collect it twice and then list it instantly. And so that was the strategy. It's a lot of work when I'm dropping because I have to kind of like make a private link and send it and everything. But that way it has been really fun. It has kind of been controlled, and nobody ends up with multiple edition of the same artwork. So it mostly started to make it like accessible and have more collectors, and it's been quite interesting. Like I'm really enjoying doing editions. There are some like toy faces I feel like there has to be one-on-one. So for India Art Fair, I'm doing a Bhagat Singh toy face, Gandhi toy face, a Kali toy face, and a Buddha toy face. All of them are one-on-one. But right after that, I'm definitely going to do a multi edition. Yeah.
Nice, very patriotic.
So this is the first time I'm doing like Indian toy faces because I've waited for a very long time to do them. Like it's been 1 year and most of them have like a global appeal. But I was like I think now I can pull this off. Plus, like with India Art Fair, a lot of traditional art collectors were interested and everything. So I thought like it's good time to like do like some cultural, like from our part of the world kind of
Yeah,
toy faces. Yeah.
so I have to ask you about um just labels. Do you think you get, like, I mean, just your opinion, right? Like, would you want to rather be called an artist, or like people call you an Indian artist, or like, just little bit about labels, or like you have made very specific, you're calling yourself a visual artist who makes like fungible toys. Just a little bit, like, your take on.
See, I've never cared a lot about like exactly what to call myself, but it because I come from a design background, it took me a while to just call myself an artist. Apart from that, like I've always felt NFTs has been such a global thing. And even for a lot of Indian artists, I feel like everybody currently is just looking at it as an Indian artist, where they should be just looking at it as an artist and kind of reach out to the global community. I understand a lot of people think, matlab, it is hard, but like I have seen people only networking within the Indian community or Indian sphere, whereas like obviously it's a global thing and there are like collectors all over the world. Like from day one only, I had that mindset. In fact, like I think it comes because I had like throughout my career, I had a lot of clients from everywhere. So I've never just worked with Indian clients or just worked with clients from states. It has been like clients from Bali, clients from Australia, clients from Europe, or like anywhere, right? So with NFTs also, it was the same approach. I was just like kind of making stuff for everybody or even networking with everybody. Uh, but I think like since WazirX is like a very Indian focused platform and a lot of artists started from that platform, I feel like they're a bit stuck with that mindset where it's like they're trying to only engage with the Indian community. And definitely it's a global thing, so people should reach out to more people outside the that this part of the world. Yeah.
Yeah, what are the, like, what are the, like, I just want, like, to reaffirm this, like, why should they do it, like, I
See,
want to. Yeah.
sure. Like, so, like when I started NFTs, there was like this, won't name the artist, but like very big, famous traditional artist. He reached out and, he was just telling me that it took him years to like finally sell to a on a global platform like traditional art. So with NFTs, obviously day one the scope is like to sell it globally, and that's what I kind of liked, and I think that's what is important, right? Like I understand if you're creating something very like pop culture reference to like India specific, then that might not work. But again, like just to cater something that works for everybody, I think it will just like put you on a global platform. You will have access to like global collectors and everything. So that was like very conscious of me of picking toy faces that would just work for everybody, like people who kind of, matlab, everybody knows who Frida is, Van Gogh is, or a Viking or a ninja. So I've always kind of felt that I have to create which things that is appealing to like on a global level. It's with India Art Fair, where I just knew there would be a lot of Indian collectors, so I can finally do this. And I really wanted to do it. But again, like that artist, right? I could see like it was so hard for him. Like it took years of work. A really talented artist, but took years of work to be recognized globally. Whereas NFT on day one is enabling you to do that, but people for some reason are not able to grasp that.
Yeah, yeah. Also, I would quickly want to add my perspective to this is like, just traditionally we have like art has been a very proximity thing, right? Like, so what does
Yeah.
that mean? It's like, you sell to wherever you can, right? Like, if you live in like a Mumbai, Pune, or Delhi, right? Like, you can sell in that city, but the prices you get accordingly. So, if you're a artist from like a tier 2 tier 3 city, not many art appreciative people, right? Like, so that's the difference, right? Like, now you're getting a platform to let go of all these price constraints you have because of like where you live, and just the same artist selling in Mumbai versus selling in New York will also get different kind of money because the taste and the standard of living and the value how much people give to art changes. Now you're at a place where like you might do the weirdest thing, you might make the weirdest art in the world which none of your friends or people in real life like, but like someone sitting in Zambia or someone sitting in Zimbabwe might love it and would buy all your art pieces, right? Like, so you have these niche communities which like you forget the proximity, forget like oh, I'm from this particular land, and
Mhm.
like find like-minded people who like the same thing as you. So this is my thoughts on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I totally agree. Like, that's the thing. Like, it's always good to be like, with multi edition. I could see there are a lot of Indian collectors. I don't think they're like full out collectors, but they have been kind enough to collect my work when it was at an accessible price, and that felt really good, right? Like people just appreciating like fellow Indian artists collecting my artwork and all that. Like I totally understand, what's the need of like working locally, working globally, and everything. But again, like with NFTs, I just feel like it's a global platform, so you have to have that in back of your mind when you are approaching it. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So you were talking. I will make this quick, guys. If you're listening and enjoying this conversation, please share across. If you have question, do request. So like Amrit can take a couple of questions, and I just want to talk about like your collaborations. All the collaborations you have done are super interesting, or like with super interesting people. Can you tell us a little bit about like how your collaboration started, and like like do you think collaborations are important, and like yeah, just run us through all the collabs you have done.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, definitely. Like, I love the collaborative part of NFTs. It's like something I don't know. I haven't heard a lot of in traditional art, uh, and I ended up collaborating with really, really interesting people. I think like one of the first ones was like with Kashish, where he made me making a toy face, and that was such a nice collaboration. It's still like my favorite one. And then because like like as I mentioned, I was talking to Leronas, who did she did the boys collection, like the one of the most famous collections out there. So we had been talking, and one day like she asked like if I want to collaborate, and I was like super excited about it. That was such a big sale as well. And there was a collaboration with Pablo Stanley, who did the Robotos thing. And the way I know Pablo is because like he's like very well known for creating digital assets. And when I first created toy faces, he kind of reached out, and he bought them and just like sent an appreciative email. So I just knew him from that time. And later on, he joined NFTs, and then he did the Roboto thing. And I think that was my biggest collaboration of like 100 editions. So like primary sales were around 30th or something. So and then there have been who else collaborate? And then like lately I did like a collaborative commission thing where kind of gifted toy faces, like art inspired by toy faces, and I reached out to like 10 of my favorite artists and had so much fun with that as well. And yeah, it's just like I don't know, like nobody should do NFTs without collaborating at least a few times. This is the whole point. Like, you know, you see a lot of art, like you see a lot of talent, and you have to reach out to them and ask them for collaboration. So I have like shamelessly DM'd all the artists I have liked, that if they want to do like a collaboration. Some of them have like worked out quite well, and some of them like didn't work out, or they didn't even reply, and which is totally fine. I understand everybody's like really busy, and DMs are like very hard to, even for me, like, you know, it's very hard to reply to each conversation. But even with Crypto Toads, so that was a very interesting collaboration. I wasn't expecting that. I actually spoke to Cool Cats also for a collaboration, but then they replied saying that my some of my toy faces are smoking and they cannot collaborate with me. So that was pretty sad. And yeah, I mean, like every time I see a good project like PFP project, I love to collaborate with them as well. Every time there is an artist where I feel like, especially if they can complement my work, because it has to make sense, right? Like what they do, what I do, there has to be like a thing. For like example, if somebody is doing like a very realistic 3D stuff, or dark 3D stuff, then it just won't work with toy faces. So even if I really like their work, I cannot collaborate at least till I get an idea, or till they get an idea. So that's the thing. And Abhi, I'm also like again talking to Kashish, thinking of doing another collaboration with him. And yeah, it's just a lot of collaborations I've done over the like over 1 year, and I'm sure I will be doing more.
That's awesome. That's good to know. We'll take few questions from people. So we have SD Art Studio with us. Before you guys ask question, please try to avoid telling like, "Hey, we are minting" or this or that, right? Like, so genuine questions would be appreciated. Yep, SD Art Studio, go for it.
Hello, 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 Dheeraj for hosting this space, and hello, Amrit. Sir, I will
Hi.
call you sir because I I really liked you. I recently came across your work, so I will tell like I will take 5 minutes, nothing more than that. So I recently came across your work, and actually I was also getting started with the NFT part. So my friend suggested like you should see this guy, like he is doing really well in NFTs. So my now question is, so I have introduced my first Skull Planet NFT. So and I have chosen that skull because like I have seen everybody was doing with something with the human character or something like that. So I just thought to let's just take this skull and make it like however I want. So now what is so anything of it is not sold yet, but now what is happening is I'm not able to like not able to do further creativity with this thing. I don't know what is happening. If you can just check out, it will be really great. Like
Yeah,
so.
So you can
Yeah.
DM me, like I think like you can DM me your artwork. I'll check it out. Yeah.
Mhm. So now what is happening is I'm really getting miserable. Like, what should I do? Like, will it work? So, like, what? How should I move forward? That is my question.
So see, like without looking at the artwork, it's a bit hard. But sometimes what happens is like if a particular style or a particular character is not working out right, you could just start again. Like you don't have to like stick to that. And I understand everything is on blockchain, but you are always allowed to start again and do another character or do something you resonate with.
Okay. 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 Uh, okay. Then I will try it. I will try it definitely.
thank you for the question.
Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All
Yeah,
the best.
I said your name.
Hi guys, I'm Divya. So I'm like dropping my first NFT collection soon. So Amrit, I've been a huge fan of yours. I've loved all your works and when I entered this space, I thought, okay, maybe I can ask your experience, as a beginner in NFT space. So what are the tips that you'd share? Is there something a don'ts list that you have?
Uh, don't list. Okay, that's interesting. So yeah, definitely like don't like mint every artwork from your wallet. That's something I've learned the hard way. And then I would say like also like pick your marketplaces. Only stick to like the known ones. And if you are reached out for a PFP project, don't say yes instantly, check out and then say no. But just in terms of your artwork, I would say just take it one artwork at a time. Or so what are you working on? Like what kind of collection do you have?
Okay, so my collection is basically I'm creating a water tribe. So it is a collection of 10 variable NFTs. It is inspired from deep sea creatures, and I have a lot of utilities planned for that. So, and this NFT collection would be people who mint this would have access to the community that I'm building.
Okay, got it. So yeah, like if you're working on a utility based NFT, I would say like make sure you spend enough time explaining the utility. Also do some research if that is the kind of utility people are looking for, because there is a lot of pressure around artists to come up with utility, and sometimes a utility seems important in your head but might not have a lot of audience for it. So I would say do that research and ask around people if they think that's a good utility. Just don't be shy. Just DM people or reach out to them, like asking them genuine questions about your project before launching it. Plus, especially if you're doing a collection, I would say work on the community before launching it. Talk about the collection enough. And again, like if it's driven by a utility, make sure that people care about that utility. It's exciting, and yeah.
Awesome.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you
No
for your
problem.
question, Divya. Ashutosh, you have a question?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Amrit, for coming on the spaces today. So I have a different question. So there's a thing called, there's going around in the NFT space a lot. It's called, the utility for a project. If you see these 10K projects or these PFE projects have, so-called, they've been giving so-called quote unquote utilities to their holders that it works very differently for, let's say a one-on-one or like a single artist collection. So, what are your thoughts on these quote unquote utility thing? And like, do you feel the pressure of giving something to your collectors as such?
Yeah, I mean, like, see, honestly, all artists, especially all one-on-one artists, because of PFP projects, have been feeling that pressure. And me having like a one-on-one collection which looks like a PFP, definitely I get a few messages about what's the utility around it, right? So, first of all, like for me, it's just as I mentioned, like I think it's too early for me to come up with a utility. I'm all chill. I can just wait and see if there is a good utility, then I'll like move ahead full speed. But till then, I'm just like not promising any utility, or not even thinking about it. Most of the utilities around out there are really boring, and I don't think makes a lot of sense. I think the only interesting utility I've seen would be like, so I got an NFT from Premint, which gives you access to like exclusive pre-mints and all that kind of stuff. So that's a very utility based NFT. Even their NFT looks like a pass. That's all. So I think that's one good utility I've seen, or like there are like a few more examples. But when it comes to one-on-one artist, again, being part of that artist journey is the real utility. And I don't think people should succumb to like just making up utilities, like spending time with the artist or giving out prints. I feel like those are pointless. You don't really have to do them unless you really feel like doing them. And yeah, I also feel like, see, right now Web3 is very new. lot of utilities you see are very web 2, like, we will have events, we will have this, we will have that. So I think utilities in web 3 have to be very web 3 oriented. So like, for example, this pre-mint thing, right, that is a web 3 utility. So I think that kind of utility only excites me right now. In terms of like doing something for my collectors, I have never made a promise. I don't like, I've never airdropped or like even given away a toy face for free. I don't think I'll be doing that anytime soon or in the future. But I did collaborate and commissioned a few artists and then kind of gifted their artwork to the artist, just because I thought it would be a fun community thing, and I really wanted to collaborate with these artists. So that was one way I did it, but I never thought of it as a utility. It was just something I wanted to do for my collectors. Apart from that, like, somebody reached out to me saying, "Oh, but why will I buy toy faces? There's no utility." And I was like, "Yeah, chill. Like, you don't have to buy them." But 5 minutes later, Betty from Dead Fellas messaged me saying that, like, 20 a week, I can give you 20 dead friends thing where people can mint dead friends, like 20 of your collectors. So that ended up being a utility, but again, nothing was planned. It was just, on the go. So like, I always like under promise or no promise at all. And if there is something to deliver, I deliver. So that's how I've been taking it. And I do like, feel like, okay, sometimes I think about utilities, but if like nothing comes to mind, I don't do anything. Yeah.
I
I
just
think
want
that's a
to add
great answer. Thank you.
I just want to add, Amrit, like, you did something which I found interesting, even though you say, like, oh, no utility or this, that. Like, you remember, like, when you were saying, like, you wanted to collab with, like, 10 of your artists, and then you made all your collectors fill a form and design something, like, custom, or, like, for that particular thing. That was super interesting, right? Like, that, even though it doesn't sound like a utility, but, like, I think it's quite interesting what you did there.
So, like, the thing is, like, I come from a lot of client background, okay? So the reason I'd never call out or coin something is because I like don't want people to expect it the next time, right? So if like, if there is something I want to collaborate, or if I have an idea, I will do it. But it's just I don't want anybody to collect my artwork thinking that they will get an airdrop from another artist doing a toy face. So that's why I kind of like don't coin these terms as utilities or anything. It's just something like I've done for my collectors. So, and that's what, like, no promises around that. Although, like, just because I'm really interested in the space, I like love my collectors and things I want to do, like that I'll do, but I just don't want to coin these things. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So can we do, Amrit? Can we do two more questions if that's okay with you?
Sure, sure. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's go terabyte.
Yeah, thanks, Dheeraj. So yeah, Amit, I just have a short question for you. That what's that one thing you want to share with all the budding and upcoming artists who are yet to establish themselves in the industry? Specifically, I'm talking about the NFT industry.
uh like one thing, yeah, I mean, see, the biggest thing is about like regarding like remarketing or talking about your art. It's 50% of the job, so you have to suck it up and do it. There is no way around it. Nobody is going to do it for you. If you don't do it, it's not going to happen. So that's the one thing I just like bluntly want to say to any artist who's trying to do NFTs. There is no way around it. You have to learn, and you can pick things you like, you enjoy, and you can do them consistently. But that's just the reality of it. So with art, you have to be able to talk about art, or in a way you're comfortable with, but you have to do it somehow. Yeah.
Got it.
Jug.
Yo. So, okay. So, my question is okay. So, yeah, first of all, let me introduce myself. I am also from a design background. I've worked with UI, UX teams and, ad marketing, etc. So, basically, and I had my own shop. I still have my own shop selling t shirts. So, I tried doing NFTs plus physicals, but they kind of flopped real bad. But that's okay. I sold two though. Uh, okay, so the question for Amrit is: have you thought of doing toys IRL, like actual toys for your faces,
Hmm. So,
or do you plan to
uh,
do that?
yeah, so basically, like, by the way, when I had like, I started a t-shirt company, it like totally tanked, but it was fun. um, and that's why I never like wanted to do like a print utility with my NFTs because it just doesn't make sense. But talking about real life toys, I've been approached by a few like really big toy makers to do a toy face, like a physical toy face. It's interesting. At some point, I want to explore it, but again, like I said, I don't want people to think that everybody will get a physical toy face. So I just need to think it through. Probably we'll do a multi edition where like the collectors of that particular multi edition might get a physical like physical toy face, but it like I need to plan that out. But definitely, like physical toy face would be really cool. So I think that should be on the roadmap. The only thing that should be on the roadmap.
Nice.
Alpha right here, guys. Physical toy possible.
Just
Yes,
one to start with. No more promises.
nice, nice. Melvin, go for it.
Hey, hey. Hi, Amrit. How are you?
Hi, Melvin. You had like you didn't, this last space I did was with you. How can you have questions?
I always have questions, like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the one question that I had is like, see, most of the artists, they're highly focused on their artwork, their art quality, and then they come to this NFT space and they try to make a mark over here, right? But how important it is to like understand this space, or how important it is to learn this space. For example, I made a mistake because when I joined this NFT space, I didn't pay any attention to the collectible project, like, and the Cool Cat price was very less at that time, and I didn't buy it because I thought like, oh, why should I buy it? I need to focus on art and only one-on-one artwork and other stuff, But then later, I realized like I made a huge mistake, and then I started collecting collectibles as well. And it becomes like a great advantage for me because I was able to flip some collectible project and I can make money so that I can collect other people's artwork as well. So that is kind of like other source of income where we can become like a decent collectors as well. So what are your thoughts about it? Like.
But yeah, it's really important. So the thing is, like, like you see some like artists complaining about why people are buying PFP projects and why they are not buying one-on-ones from like real artists and whatever. So, but the thing is, like, once you start collecting these PFP projects, right, you really understand what's going on. Plus, I feel like the only way to like it's really important to understand the space, and PFPs is obviously like a huge part of it. So you like I think everybody should like try to collect like one project or two few projects, and if you really understand the PFP market, there's like a lot of money to be made as well. So like I feel like every artist should definitely try all these things out. But again, I understand, like that kind of confidence only comes after a few sales, because like for me, like I remember I started doing all this after like after my 4 5 sales. Then I started collecting, that ape also was like my first PFP project I collected. So that kind of stuff happens once you have some ETH to like spend on stuff. But what happens is like once you start collecting, right, you really understand key the reason lot of collectors collect only PFP projects and not one-on-one is that one-on-one is really hard to flip. So if their goal is to make quick money, or it's to make money and find a fun community, they will go for a PFP project. They won't go for a one-on-one. But what happens with a lot of these collectors is like once they have made it some decent money with PFPs, they come back and collect one-on-ones, because one-on-ones are obviously like better with art. Then you want to support artist's journey, and it's just cool to collect one-on-one. So they do come back, but you to really understand this whole cycle, you actually have to collect for yourself. And even collecting one-on-one from other artists, you really understand a few things, right? Like like the pricing of the artwork, and even like for example, when I first started collecting, there was this artist who was super talented, but I could just see that they are not interested in NFTs. They just minted their artwork and they are not active anywhere. I collected them, but after that I just thought like I don't want to collect artists who are not active within the space, because then there is like no value only. Like I just know that their journey at least right now, where I can see they won't do a lot in the NFT space because they're not active. So I think that's how you realize that for your collectors, you should seem that you are active. You should seem like somebody who's in it for the long run. Because again, like all one-on-ones, very hard to flip unless the artist gets really popular, right? But that happens like that doesn't happen that often, and it takes a lot of time. So to kind of like show that trust, like collectors to trust you, you have to show that okay, you are in this space for long term, you are active, you're doing shit. So I think all these things come from collect. Like once you start collecting, you understand how collectors think. So it's really important to do that. Plus you also understand a lot of trends and a lot of ways to make money. Honestly, like I've flipped a lot of PFPs, made some good money, even lost some, but overall it has balanced, and I've been lucky with that. Plus, as an artist, right, once you're in the community, it's actually not that hard to understand what projects are good, who are backing it up, and that way you can just network also, right? So I think a lot of artists right now are struggling to understand how to network, because okay, there is a limit to how much you can talk about your art only, right? And especially to a collector, like a client, may sometimes you finish that conversation, so you don't have other stuff to talk about too. Like, but if you are like collecting a PFP project or interested in the space in general or the new products which are coming in, you just have like more to talk to, like more conversations, and you're just more active in the space. So that really helps. So I feel like it's very important.
A very good answer, Amrit. Like you really touch all the points that all the artists needs to focus on, and that is very evident as well. Like I think all the artists, they should start learning stuff. I mean, they should continue learning these things. So it's very exciting, It's not just about our work and talking about our work and selling our work. That should happen, and that will automatically happen, as you said. Like if you are in this space, but if you try to learn more about a single project or new trends, what is happening, then it's very exciting space. That's what I think about this particular space. And the way the collectors collect things, right? That is also a new trend. Like for example, if I want to be part of a particular brand like Nike or Adidas, or want to collect a beautiful work from an artist, I don't want to carry the physical thing and put it in my house. Like instead, I can just collect it in my wallet and I can travel with a small bag, a small backpack. So that is a kind of culture is also developing. So I think all the artists are going to get good benefits at a later stage. This is like little bit early, but once all of the people who makes good money in PFP projects, definitely they will invest on one-on-one artist as well, and that is happening as well, because we all are artists, right? Like if we have money, we will collect more artwork. That is that simple. So investing little bit on PFP projects will help us to make some capital and invest on other artists as well, and to build a beautiful ecosystem. And you are being a very good example for that, and happy for doing this. Thanks, Amit.
Thank you, Melvin. Yeah, exactly. Like this will only push the whole ecosystem, especially from this part of the world. Like, if everybody is kind of interested in all aspects of Web3 and NFTs, like apart from just, putting artwork out, I obviously understand that's the priority for every artist, but like it gives you a whole lot of understanding about other things, and you just might end up earning more as well. But no, it's not a financial advice.
Nice. I think great questions, a lot of perspective from a lot of different people. And Amrit, I think for this has been insightful for all of us, even me, to just understand things from both as a collector and as an artist perspective, because the space is ever growing, things can be confusing, people might know a few of these things, but they just need to hear again. So I think you did a great job of summing it up, giving directionable steps to people, and it's quite cool, right? So I just want to thank Melvin, Jog, SD, Rahul, Snow, Trupti, Wafu, Scorsese, KD, all you guys. Yeah, and there's a lot of people, right? Who have been here listening and sharing these spaces and being here on Web3 with Dhee. We do these spaces every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 10:30 p.m. IST, and we get interesting guests from different things in Web3. We get people who are building layer 2 solutions, they're building domains. We have artists like Amrit and a bunch of diverse people. I just want to thank Amrit for being here and sharing and doing this. I know you don't do a lot of these spaces, so I'm glad you did chose to do it with me.
Thank you for having me. This was fun, all valid questions, and this was nice to share my journey. Yeah.
Awesome. And if you guys don't follow Amrit, go and follow him. If you don't follow me, go and follow me as well. You might find some nice, funny memes or whatnot, or some educational content. Just want to say thank you to Ashutosh also for helping me do this. And guys, if you learned anything, do let us know. Tag me, tag Amrit. Let us know what did you learn out of this space, and let your friends know that this happened. Thank you. Good night.